Great, thanks, Pete. Janelle?
So first off, I'd like to thank my group for finding the room and making it there. And secondly, for a really rich and engaging discussion. I thought there was a lot of really amazing things that came up, and in the interests of time, I'll be really, really brief, but thank you so much. So some of the things that were discussed around any kind of engagement process or strategy was a need to make sure that it enabled those who wanted to be involved to participate in it. And also at the same time, perhaps involving identifying those who perhaps don't want to be involved initially, but maybe should be there, and finding ways to get them interested and involved in the process. Also being clear about what points of the process stakeholders have access to and in what ways they're able to influence the process. So a lot of things about transparency and communication around that. And also clarity around why your input's being sought and participation in the process. From this, there came some concerns around capacity. So ensuring that that participants have the internal capacity to be able to participate in the process. So some things around taking note of the fact that this process is time consuming, people have a lot of time commitments, they're busy, and it's also very costly. So needing to find ways to engage that take those things into consideration. And also, again, as we've heard quite a bit of the scale of the PNCIMA process as a whole, and the question of how to make engagement meaningful, keeping these things in mind. So some strategies and mechanisms, just some of the many that came out were, well, most importantly, I think each of the members of the group were able to say that they felt there needed to be an ongoing process of engagement. So not stopping between meetings, not going from here and waiting a year perhaps until the next large forum like this, but more a process of engaging that took place from meeting to meeting and was more continuous. And there seemed to be some general interest in considering different ways of breaking down the strategies of engaging into different methods. But paying attention to the fact that it doesn't necessarily need to be like an either-or strategy of engagement, but perhaps multiple ways of engaging with one another on an ongoing, continuous basis. Some of the things that were brought up around that were the idea of having some kind of information clearinghouse, so some kind of centralized location that people would be able to access, where perhaps briefings or position papers by various stakeholders would be posted as they so desired, so that other stakeholders would have a chance to look at those and understand where some of the other viewpoints were coming from. There was also discussion about using technological tools, video conferencing, teleconferencing, and those types of things to enable people to participate. Then there was also some discussion about how to break down the different methods of engaging. So one idea was to look at sub-regions or possibly areas of interest. And another was perhaps around the idea of partnerships, so linking or networking with others who have similar interests or areas of concern to your own, and taking ownership of this. It doesn't need to necessarily be a formal process. Some of those things can take place quite informally. And then really ultimately, I think, just to hammer home that idea of it being an ongoing thing, and that if there are different multiple ways of engaging taking place at the same time, to understand that they still can come back and link to a larger process of PNCIMA as a whole, and they still need to fit within that vision, and then to be creative and innovative in the ways that are found to engage.
Good, thanks, Janelle. And thank you all. Don't go anywhere, just quite